My name is Jen, and I am on a journey in order to break free from the destructive patterns of disordered eating and in order to embrace a nourishing lifestyle. My roadmap can be described using an acronym of the word Nourisher. So I'm doing daily video blog posts in order to encourage you, equip you, and keep you up to date on my progress. If this content is helpful or encouraging to you, please consider subscribing, hitting that like button, and sharing with others. It is my deep desire that these videos would help to ignite nourishing transformations in us all. Hey everybody, can you believe that it is already day 58 of our check-in times together? Thank you so much for journeying with me this far. It has been an incredible journey. I am so grateful for you, for this community, for the tool of the Nourisher acronym, and this opportunity that I have every day just to stop and reflect on how things are going in my recovery journey. You know, the recovery journey is really, really hard, and having you a part of it is so transformative for me. And I recently saw this kind of title page for a YouTube video, kind of the thumbnail picture, and it was so interesting to me. I should go back and actually watch the video, but I think the title was something to the effect of choose your hard. And it had all of these kind of slogans where it said, like, you know, singleness is hard and marriage is hard. Divorce is hard. You know, having kids is hard. Not having kids is hard. You know, being a stay-at-home mom is hard. Being a working mom is hard. So many different things where it doesn't matter which you choose, there's going to be difficulty and struggle in that choice, just because life has challenges and is hard together with the joys. And I found that so interesting and inspiring, because when I think about this journey of healing and this journey of dealing with my eating disorder, it is really, really hard. But you know what? The alternative of continuing to live with the destructive patterns of the eating disorder, that's also really, really hard. So in this case, I'm choosing my hard and I'm choosing recovery as the hard, and I'm thankful to have you with me on that journey. So let's dive into the Nourisher acronym. And of course, we start off by noticing our emotions. And, you know, if we were to connect, just like meet on the street today, and you were to say like, hey Jen, how are you doing? My answer would be well. Like, I feel well inside of myself. And the emotions that I'm noticing are not easy emotions for me. I'm noticing a lot of sadness and grief, some shame, some guilt, some really heavier emotions. And yet, because of the work that we've been doing together, I don't feel totally overwhelmed and incapacitated by those feelings, and feel like I'm able to kind of create some space within myself and within my day to be able to let those feelings live and be able to process them a little bit. So let me maybe unpack a couple of those feelings together with you. So the one feeling that I am feeling is a sense of kind of guilt, or not being, maybe it's more shame, because it's feeling kind of like not being enough or not being what I want to be. And this is the fact that probably a lot of your kids, if you're a parent, a lot of your children are probably already off on summer break. Where we live internationally, our kids have a very short summer break late into the summer. So we are just about to start their summer break next week. And I have this feeling of like this vice grip that's about to close in on me, being the days that the kids are going to be home. And I feel so guilty and yucky about that, because I love my kids and I'm excited to spend time with them, and we have activities planned. And yet there's something about that is really anxiety provoking, to think about them being home all day, every day, all the meals. You know, we live in a small house, everybody kind of being on top of each other, being their referee, managing their fights, all of that. I can just feel it in my chest, like, oh, this kind of like feeling of dread. And, you know, that brings up a lot of guilt in me to feel that, because I want to be the kind of person who is at rest and well within myself enough to be able to just welcome them, so they know that they are delighted in and welcomed into my presence at any time. And I also want to be the kind of person, as we talked about the other day, that I'm not always being kind of nagging everybody to get their work done and to do the to-do list and keep structure over the summer, but that I can also be someone who can rest and play and embrace those nourishing elements of life together with my kids, to model that to them, to enjoy it together with them. So those are some of the things that are maybe evoking that emotion. The other one maybe that's evoking quite a bit of emotion is, so much of, or part of the diagnostic criteria, as we've talked about before, of eating disorders is that so much of the eating disorder happens in the dark, in hiding. People don't open up about these different types of patterns and try to keep them out of plain view. And so when for me, when I did start opening up about my eating disorder, of course, it can be very, very bewildering and debilitating for loved ones and family members who, have lived with me for decades, who kind of like, whoa, where did this come from? Why didn't we know that this was happening? So as I think about that and think about, why I didn't know what was happening. I didn't have a narrative and an understanding around what my relationship with food meant and why it was there. And I'm just growing into that awareness now. But how can this happen sometimes in what seems like in plain view? And, I was thinking about this and I thought, how many of your friends do you know their financial information? Do you know their banking information, their investment information? Do you know even what they think about financial matters, let alone have an intimate look inside their financial lives and practices? Well, for most of us, not many, because that's not a typical topic of conversation. And yet for some people who are mutually very interested in that area of their lives, or share openly about, they may have a very transparent view of intimate details of the financial lives of their friends or colleagues or what have you. Maybe even they have some greater capacity or skills around financial matters, and that gives them some common language to talk about financial things together, and therefore they exchange on that level. They talk about that as a topic. And I kind of feel about this similar to that example as I do about having the capacity and the awareness and the possibility of being able to be aware of each other emotionally. I think emotional intelligence and being able to see each other, attune to each other emotionally, and be able to have families and homes and communities that are emotionally present to one another is kind of like being able to tune in, like having a channel on your radio that can tune in and really listen for that type of content. So in the same way that people who are financially minded maybe can share financial information together, people who have emotional skills can therefore, see emotional realities in one another, draw out emotional realities in one another, help to regulate, soothe, and calm emotional realities in one another. But a lot of us just don't even have that channel. We don't know how to do that. It wasn't modeled for us. It wasn't done for us. And we don't know how to do that for ourselves, let alone to give it to other people. And so I think so often what can happen with eating disorders, or what I certainly, my understanding is in my case, is that it wasn't a fault or a blame. It was a lack of capacity for people to be able to see and interact with each other on an emotional level. But the emotions are just part of our built-in wiring of who we are as humans. And we all need to be able to have strategies, plans, possibilities, capabilities in order to be able to handle those emotions. And so as a child, at any stage of life, you're going to have the emotions, whether you notice them or not, and we need to process them. And some of us have, unfortunately, turned to different destructive patterns or obsessions to be able to handle those emotional realities. So I think all of that stirs up in me as I recognize, what I've hidden for so long, and the pain that causes the loved ones in my life, that causes, again, a lot of shame and guilt, and gives me opportunities to work through and walk through that. And again, I love what Dr. Gabor Mate says when he says we're not to blame, but we are responsible. And I'm really holding on to that and thinking about what can my response be? What does my response need to be in this healing journey? opening up to others, so often, if we have a real live person that we can open up to, that is amazing. But I find there's so many rich resources available to us now, even via the World Wide Web. And this morning when I was kind of feeling this vice grip of guilt coming about the kids being home and wondering if I'm going to have enough capacity to be able to handle their vibrance and exuberance over the summer break, there was this Dr. Laura Markham newsletter that I get occasionally in my inbox. And you know what? It was so helpful. Dr. Laura Markham is a wonderful parenting coach and a psychologist, and I just really, really appreciate her. Would highly recommend. I'll put some of her resources in the resource area below. And that was so rewarding and refreshing for me because it gave great practical tips of how I can handle the summer with my kids in a way that can create deep emotional bonding roots. So thank you, Dr. Laura. I really appreciate that. Also, I had an opportunity today to spend some time with a friend, and we were able to practice some mutual appreciation together. And that is, I just find appreciation, first of all, to be so restorative. Second of all, to be so contagious. So again, appreciation is when we don't just make a list of things we're thankful for, but we actually get into the memory of something that made us smile, that brought us joy, that we would love to relive, so that our bodies can start responding neurochemically, hormonally in the same way that it did in the moment. And so she told this great story, and as I was listening to it, I had this huge smile on my face. But then her story sparked memories of similar things for me. And you know what? This can even happen, so often you've heard me be so sad before about how when the person isn't in front of us and we're interacting through social media, how it's so easy to say negative and hurtful things and that we would never say to someone's face. But we can also say really positive, beautiful things that can bring a smile that we don't see to someone's face. And today there is someone on social media, on my Twitter feed, who was saying that his 3-year-old son said, "Daddy, I really wish that you could become a little boy again so that I could be your best friend." And it just brought it touched my heart, and it brought such a smile to my face that I just thought, wow, joy is contagious, and I love that. So I'm going to keep trying to prioritize joy and appreciation, and I love the way that it brings health and vibrance to my mind, and that it's contagious also to others. Understanding the cycle, with some of those heavier feelings kind of pressing on my chest today, I definitely noticed that my go-to, my knee-jerk reaction is to restrict. And anytime I kind of got to a mealtime or a snack time, I thought, no, I don't really want this. I don't need this. So I have chosen, even though I didn't have a hunger cue, I have chosen to nourish my body anyway today. And I believe that that was the right choice in recognizing that part of what my mind and body wants to do in order to process some of these harder emotions is to restrict my eating. So we're not going to go there. Instead, we're going to go to rewire our brain. So many great things to do to rewire my brain today. A walk in beautiful, beautiful nature, which I so appreciate. And a couple other things is, one is to ask for what I need. So preparing for the summer, I realized one of the real, as I listened kind of to that guilt and shame and wondered what's underneath that, I realized that I'm afraid that I'm going to give up everything that is nourishing for me in order to nourish others this summer. So a couple of things that I want to do to counteract that is, one is ask for what I need. And my husband is so good at, if I ask for what I need, hey, I need to still go for my walk every day, or hey, I need a couple hours every day to do my video check-ins, or whatever may have you, or I need a little bit of downtime just to do some quieting and some appreciation or prayer, meditation, whatever. And I know if I ask for it, he'll be delighted to facilitate that for me. But for some reason, I believe this stupid lie that it is more valuable if he offers that, or if he notices that I need that, than if I actually ask for it. So again, not going to do that. Going to ask for what I need. The other thing is to spend some time. I spent some time today thinking about what is satisfying, what has been satisfying recently. And I find it's like taking a highlighter to your brain and really illuminating the things that have been satisfying. So Insulin-friendly eating, I mentioned that I chose to eat today, did not have hunger cues, but chose to eat, which was very helpful. Protein-rich breakfast in the morning with eggs, and I'm really loving sun-dried tomatoes right now. That's really, really a yummy addition. And I've already planned my supper to have, I was so delighted to find goat's cheese. Did I tell you? Goat's cheese is one of my favorite things. So I'm going to do some chicken breast stuffed with goat's cheese, and I'm really looking forward to that, even though I'm not hungry, looking forward to that. But trying to make wise choices and eat consistently throughout the day. Sleep has been continued to be disruptive, although I have been going to sleep earlier, and so I'm finding that even though I do have some disruptive periods throughout the night, I am waking up without an alarm with lots of energy. So I'm grateful for that and want to continue to prioritize going to bed early in order to benefit from that additional rest. Hydration today, the water that I took with me today actually tasted a little bit stale, or maybe, I don't know, something yucky. So I was so thirsty by the time I got home and have been trying to compensate for the hydration ever since. But I will do a big overhaul of my water bottles and make sure that I have good clean water in all of those moving forward. And exercise today was so lovely. I'm just basking in the delight of exercising. Somebody said once, like, hey, if you knew that you would neither lose weight nor gain weight, would you still exercise the same way that you do? And I have a notorious yes. I am exercising gently. It's a predictable part of every day that I am so enjoying, especially the beauty of nature, and it is so restorative and refreshing. I'm so glad that I am over the hump of exercise and enjoying it so thoroughly. So that is the end of my Nourisher check-in. And of course, we anchor all of this in the idea of reward. And you know what? The reward for me is when we talked about that idea of, some of us, either in our communities, families, whatever, just didn't have that emotional channel, didn't know how to notice our emotions, didn't have other people to notice our emotions, didn't know how to regulate emotions, how to handle them, all of those sorts of things. My reward is that I now have that channel. I have that channel, and I am now able to tune in to my loved ones and to my kids specifically so that they can learn these skills together with me. And that is hugely satisfying to me to be able to do that together. So thank you for journeying with me. We'll need a deep breath, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow and to letting you know how it goes as I approach summer vacation. I hope you have a wonderful, restoring day. Bye for now.